Don't say anything that you don't want people to hear. Okay, let me grab this and make a quick post.
Right. Do that.
Oh man, the old Xbox 360 UI. Not making money they used to. Dang it, didn't I? Hmm. Okay. We'll do a quick. Oops. All right.
Always
Do a
gotta
quick
sign into this thing.
audio check. Ace, does the audio sound?
Check, check. How do I sound? How do I sound?
Sound fine. And the sun is shining down on you. Ghost, how's the audio sound?
Check, check, check. Check, 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 check.
A bit quiet, but I'm sure that's just either prelude to your uh, enthusiasm rising. Wes, how's the audio sound?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Sound perfect. And then what about my audio? Does it sound alright? Does the volume sound alright? And is it clear enough?
Yep.
All good.
Okay. Dang, it really has been a minute. I didn't even do like the little intro card. Oops, I didn't even want that. Jesus. Got so many screens these days, I don't even know which one's the right one. I guess I can move this up. Okay. Anyway. Pardon me. Okay. I guess there's nothing else we can start recording. Give me 1 second. All right, apologies for the delay. Recording in 3, 2, 1. Everybody look alive, just like Black Boy said. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, guys. We're back. Welcome back to the B1 B-Phil podcast. We have everyone here this morning on a beautiful Sunday morning / afternoon. We have Ace.
Oh,
We have Ghost.
Yo.
We have Wes.
Yo.
And we have myself, Wes Lando. How we all feeling? How we all doing?
pretty good.
Decent.
And I myself am not feeling too bad either. Hope everyone is smoothly adjusting to the different podcasting schedule. I would make the case when you're doing in the morning, you're still kind of your brain is still kind of powering on, but I think it's late enough in the morning to everybody's up, attentive, and ready to deep dive. Or just chill out and listen, depending on what you got going on in your life. Maybe you're studying, maybe you're running errands, church, all that nonsense. But we definitely appreciate any and all listenership. And speaking of podcast intro stuff, let me get that out the way real quick. So first and foremost, not first and foremost, but if there are ever any topics that y'all think it might be worth discussing, definitely feel free to share. We're always interested in knowing what people are interested in and deep diving into those type of stories. Additionally, if you are in the mood for new music, finding some new dope artists, we definitely recommend you check out the Spotify playlist in the description below, where we provide new songs that we bumped into that we would like to come in here and recommend to y'all. Also worth noting, after the podcast, definitely check back if you're a person that likes timestamps in their videos, after we edit stuff, after we edit everything, you can find timestamps if you just want to check around in the long ass podcast video. See what we're talking about and when we're talking about it. And if you actually prefer shorter content, we got you there too. We definitely implore you to go to our channel, go to the videos tab, and you can find all of our topic discussion videos condensed. Maybe not all of them, maybe some of it we say for the stream, but most of all our topic discussion videos where we condense it down to the respective video. And there'll be some new content dropping next week starting Monday, so be on the lookout for that. Before we get into the actual topics, the actual content we're here to discuss, does anyone have any content recommendations outside of music, of course, or any warm reviews, anything that they consumed recently, and they want to come in here and give a breakdown? Always remember, one review can be negative, so
I have a couple. First one I won't take too long with. I did go see Sinners last weekend, and it was great for the
French movie of the year.
yeah, yep. Quest already gave the rundown, but yeah, from my perspective, I'll just add that it wasn't. I don't know. I guess I didn't really have particular expectations when I heard it was horror. I guess I expected more horror, but I will say that it reminded me a lot of the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. So if you haven't seen Sinners yet and you want to vibe that, or maybe not even a vibe, but like the overarching story, kind of remind me of that movie. Um, but yeah, great film. And then I also last week went to a concert at the Sinclair. I saw um I think a band that I've recommended relatively recently, Mama, and the opener for them was Wishy. Um, both bands were great. Both are like I would say indie rock. Um, and yeah, they
So you're
both
finally
released
ready to come out here and admit that you really like indie.
indie rock. I guess. I don't know.
Are we serious? Are you serious? Right? Come on.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. They both released projects this year, and that I really like. So they played a lot from those more recent releases. Um, but yeah, great show. Um, and if you want to know what they sound like, check out the previous B1 B Field playlist.
Nice.
I didn't even know that was at the Sinclair. I might have gone, but glad you enjoyed it.
Cool. That was it for
Anything
your
else, Ace?
recommendations?
Yep, that was it.
Okay. So I talked about this a little bit with Ace already, but I'm gonna recommend for anybody who's a musician, anybody who's interested in improving their musical ear. I grabbed an app based on some YouTube videos that I was watching. Somebody who has a really good method for ear training. And the app is called Sonofield Ear Trainer. And basically it's training over a drone. So you have a drone of a note, a random note, randomized root note, and then you answer questions based on that root. So you try to identify different intervals based on that root. And anybody who's a musician and has maybe taken any classes or anything like that knows what ear training is and knows how humbling it can be when you try to do it if you haven't really practiced. So it's a really great method. I think it's paid, but it's like $15, I think, somewhere in that range. But not too bad and super worth it. So I would recommend you check it out. Yeah, it has a drone feature. It has a feature where you guess melodies as well. and then it has a feature where you sing along, so that you can learn the intervals, internalize them. So super cool.
Nice. What's that one more time?
Sonofield ear trainer.
Gotcha. It's definitely a more niche recommendation, but definitely useful to, like you said, the crowd that you mentioned. I'm not gonna lie though, it's a paid app. We damn near need to be looking at sponsors then.
True. I mean, you can use the free version if you want to, but there's some things that are limited. Oh, and I forgot. There's also a feature where it's like, it's called Pocket Mode, and I think that's part of the paid app. Not that we're sponsored, but you can actually just let it play in the background too. So it'll play the drone, it'll play an interval, and then it has the recording of the creator or somebody's voice saying the actual degree. So you'll get the interval, and then you can hear it again and do it like that. Multiple instruments, you can hear like the tones in, and yeah, so super cool.
Dope. Interesting. Anything else that we have this week?
I have a couple. I'll keep it quick. I also saw Sinners, and I don't need to touch on it too much. Great movie, 10 out of 10, blah, blah, blah. But I will say my just personal preference, I went into it knowing as little as possible. Like, I didn't even watch the trailer. So, and when you were describing it, Quest, I just muted you because I didn't want to know anything at all about the movie. So I went into it
What did I
very
even say?
blind. It was, well, I don't know
Insane.
what you said. It wasn't anything about you. It was just I didn't want any impressions. I didn't want any takes. I wanted, like, again, nothing. I wanted to just go into it completely blind. And again, it was great. I kind of, not knowing it was really gonna be the horror it ended up turning into. Much my personal preference, I kind of feel like tonally it was a little weird because I felt like they should have either leaned into the horror more, or maybe went less of it. But again, that's just a personal preference thing.
We're not a movie podcast, but I feel as if it was completely like the horror was completely well placed for like the time period and the context of what
Yeah,
of the
it's
movie we're trying to illustrate. I didn't get
yeah.
the
I
sense
guess
that they
my issue was
could have been more horror from watching it, but it's neither here nor there.
yeah. My issue wasn't even with like the type of horror or anything like that or the context. It was just kind of tonally and the way that the movie progressed. I didn't, just a personal preference thing. I didn't really love that. I can get into it more. I don't want to give full
I think I
spoilers,
understand
but
exactly what you're saying, but yeah, we would have to talk about it off.
yeah, but
I
otherwise,
still
yeah. I
haven't
mean,
seen it, so
yeah.
just for the record. Who's the director again, by the way?
Ryan
Ryan
Coogler.
Coogler.
Oh yeah, okay.
Salute to that man.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He actually did an interview somewhat recently where he was talking about why they did it in the location. I mean, obviously he's broke down many other things, but he's definitely a respectable brother.
One other note, just a quick thing that the movie gave me the vibes of the time period. Have y'all ever read Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry? It was, I
Obviously.
guess, kind of a children's book
Probably,
on the
yeah.
reading list. Like,
Yeah, very familiar, but
I love that book so much, in the prequel when I was younger. So I definitely got a lot of those tones. So that was something I did appreciate. But yeah, great movie. Recommend. Another quick recommendation. This is actually a game, and I'm very rarely play games, but this one I came across. I've enjoyed it. It's called Halls of Torment.
Are you
It's
kidding me? I recommend that like ad years ago.
really.
Not on the podcast, but I think I was specific to like Ace, but
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
this
even know,
sounds
but
familiar.
it's. I think it's a game that Ace you might like because it's kind. I haven't played Hades, but I think it's similar to
that's
Hades.
why I
It's,
recommended it to him.
yeah, pretty straightforward. It's a horde survival game slash, I don't want to say bullet hell, but basically you're in a dungeon, you're fighting a whole lot of monsters, you pick up shit, you try to survive and you upgrade your character. Pretty straightforward gameplay loop, but it is very enjoyable. It is paid. Like I think I paid a couple bucks. I'm playing it on mobile because that's how I'm not like a gamer, so I don't be playing. I don't have like a Switch anymore or anything like that. But if you are looking for something on the
What?
go,
You don't have a Switch anymore?
Yeah, what happened to you, Switch?
I didn't mention this. I think I mentioned it at Quest. I sold it because I think I had like
Oh.
just one bad session of Smash, and I'm like, nah. I
Oh
can't
my
play anymore.
gosh.
I'll do it. I get it.
I was like, I'm not having fun playing this stupid shit, so I just sold it, and yeah, which I think is
Yes.
Game.
yeah. Plus, I tend to not be productive at all when I have an option of what am I gonna do right now. I can do something productive, or I can play a game on the Switch for a couple hours, and I end up defaulting to that, which is not good. So that's another big reason. But yeah,
I guess it's a grown man decision.
uh,
I definitely. You low-key should have gone to it because again, well, Smash and fighting games in general can be uber like unpleasant when you're playing it the way you play it. It's still fun to play with your homeboys, homegirls.
yeah. That's if I was playing with y'all consistently, then that's one thing. But just playing online and it's like it's the lamest
Miserable.
play styles of all time. Can't do it. But yeah, I kind of got off track. But Halls of Torment, pretty good game. And then the very last recommendation is a food one. I don't know if y'all have heard of Otto's Pizza. Wes, maybe maybe you haven't.
Regional. Is it a regional?
Yeah, I
one?
think it's a chain. Like I think they're actually from Maine originally, but they recently put a location in my area, southeastern Mass. I don't know if they have any in central Mass or western, but I've tried a lot of pizza places, a lot, and this is easily in my top 5, maybe best. It's kind of early to say that because again, it's just been a couple weeks since I've tried it, but very excellent. Italian style, brick oven, but yeah, they have a lot of customization
Italian style.
options.
Nah.
Yeah, yeah, I get. It's not like a typical like pizza chain, like your mom pop type. You know the style.
I gotta ask a question. Do we all? Maybe we had this conversation before, but
Here
do
we
we
go.
feel like Italian style pizza is the best? Like, if it's more authentic, do we feel like Italy probably has the best pizza? Or
I don't
love
think
that.
so.
I'm just laughing at the concept of Italian style pizza.
yeah, but you know what he means.
Yeah, there's Italian style and American. I mean, we all know like pizza's pizza. But there's classes. But
I tell
think that.
everybody that I think that. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that I think that even though Italian style is Italian, I think America probably does it better.
I shamelessly say that to everybody, even over here. I'm pretty sure it's probably better in America. But seeing as I haven't been yet to actually try an actual Italian pizza, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure American pizza is better.
Yeah, Otto's Pizza,
Fair enough.
Nice.
pretty good.
I didn't know we had our very own Dave Portnoy on our podcast, but fair enough.
Oh yeah, he's the guy that does the slice reviews.
Yeah.
I can't lie, I've tried a spot or two based off of his
Yeah.
his reviews.
When we went
Yeah.
to see tennis, I think I I was going off of his reviews.
Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, he's done a few places in Mass and Connecticut.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
it's actually exciting news to have a solid pizza place, a new pizza place. It's actually a good recommendation.
yeah, it's like pizza's pizza, but yeah, that's a good spot.
It is a good recommendation. But at the same time, you guys are coming on here and talking about a lot of things that other people would be getting paid a lot of money to do. But one, we're not there yet. And two, I suppose that is the primary point of content recommendations / one reviews. We, regardless of if we are getting financial value from it, we would come on here and talk about it.
And now I kind of got a food spot that I want to talk negatively about, but I'll hold my tongue.
I kind of want to hear the hate, to be honest.
There's this local spot, and it's not even anything like a big deal, but it's an ice cream spot. They just got or started up probably last year. I've tried them 3 times, and like every time I've been disappointed. First time it was just like I think the ice cream was kind of mediocre. Um I forget what I got, but it was just mediocre. And then the second time I was like, all right, let me give them another try. And I got like the salted caramel ice cream. Not only was the portion super small, but they like dumped salt on the caramel, so I couldn't even finish it. It was disgusting. And then most recently, I've been looking for a place that does malted milkshakes because Five Guys no longer does it.
Yeah, I stopped
And
with those.
and this place said they had malted milkshakes. So I was like, all right, finally, maybe they can do something right. So I have my sisters get me 2 different ice creams just to try both of them with the malted the like done as a shake with the malt in it. And they come back and tell me they don't have the malt. Like for the one reason that I wanted them to go there, they didn't have it. So that's the last time I'm going to this place. Um yeah, it pissed me off. It's
Name and
called Wicked
shame.
Licks. Wicked Licks. Wicked Licks.
Dog, that is a
Um,
crazy name.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
nuts.
It's
How you get
provocative.
the ice cream wrong?
It's real. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they're like in the perfect location too, where if I really like, if they were actually good, I would be able to go often and it wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, it's just
I'm
bad,
be honest.
bad.
I don't know how you mess up ice
I'm
cream.
be honest. Y'all got the perfect. You have the perfect ice cream spot by you.
True.
Yeah, yeah, but they're only open in the summer,
Oh
so
yeah.
we're still waiting for them to open up.
Um, let me know. Let me know when you go there. I would like to bring City in there. What should we call it? I was gonna make a wild callback, but I guess your end of justification doesn't really match it. But you would probably say like after the first time you went there and it wasn't the greatest, you went back because you wanted to support a local business, right?
I mean, not really. I don't really care about them being local. It's just I wanted some good ice cream.
But you went there the one time and it didn't have the greatest ice cream.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a terrible experience. So I thought, okay, maybe it was probably
It
like
was an off day.
within the first month that they started too. So I was like, let me give them another chance
Shouldn't that
type
be when the
thing.
food's the
Because
best? Grand
what
opening?
you say?
Shouldn't that be when the food is the best?
That
When
is
grand
Yeah,
opening?
to be honest,
that might be a
yeah.
good point. That might be a good
Maybe,
point.
but don't they need? I mean, don't they get feedback too? Maybe that they
Dog,
can.
nah.
I don't. I don't
Kinda
know.
gotta do what you do. And if you don't do it well, then
I don't
yeah.
know. I
And you
don't know.
know what? It might actually have been that the first time I went, I got a shake and I thought it was mediocre. And then the second time I went, I tried the ice cream instead, and it was still like a small portion, dumped the salt on the caramel. Okay, this is not. And then I gave him the one last chance once I heard they had malt. But
Fair enough. I'll give it to you. You're relatively consistent in your logic. I was glad to say if it was true that you were going back there primarily to support local business, that's akin to the logic of like why some people would support black-owned business, even
I
though the
knew you I knew you were gonna
even
bring
when
up
the
that damn
product,
topic. I knew
obviously,
you were come on,
even
dog.
though the product isn't necessarily the toppest of tier products.
Come on, man.
But it's all good. It's all good.
Reach.
Anyway, dope. I like some of the recommendations that we come on here and give, and even I guess some of the negative reviews we give because we don't necessarily do like how was your week anymore, and, for in somewhat good reason, but I think sometimes when we talk about what we've consumed recently, it kind of gives us an outline of what our life has been like recently. So I like that. But if there is nothing else, we can get right to the topics. Oops. I guess I'll just put that right here while we're getting ready. what the game?
Why not?
That's the problem with links. Sometimes they could very well be deleted. Yeah, that thing's gone.
Let me see. It's gone?
Yeah, that thing's deleted. Dang. I don't think we were an awkward.
Kinda really need it, no?
Yeah, I know. The thing we can do about that. In our time of streaming, I don't think that's ever happened. We all got to a thing before.
Internet Archive. Maybe get it from there.
Dang.
Oh yeah, maybe.
You don't have to go through all the minutia. You can just go to the next joint, and I can pull up something else to deep dive. Oops. Whoa, I'm so glad I have the screen on a different screen. Whoa. Okay. 1 second. Jesus, that's a lot of topics. What is this? Yeah, we'll talk about this if it's time. Okay, but let's focus. Anyway. Is everyone's names in the right place? Nice. I like that. Okay. Also, I forgot to mention, but check the stream whenever you have a second. Nice. Anyway.
Yeah.
While I intro this. Okay. So, pardon me. Salute to Kool Moe Dee, legendary rapper, one of the pioneers, as they say. I don't even need to go down the list of accolades, but if you know, you know, and if you don't know, maybe you learn a little thing or two. But famously known, if you don't know, for rocking those black shades. To this day, some people don't know what his eyes look like. But anyway, we're not here to talk about his musical abilities or accliments. We're here to talk about a hot take that he has, and not only that he has, but he's lived by. He did an interview somewhat recently, and the caption there is, Kool Moe Dee explains why he deliberately refused to have children. Let's play it, and I want to know what you guys think.
No,
No kids.
intentionally.
And you did, and why?
I did not want, and this is from childhood. And I said one thing that people don't pay attention to, my opinion. In poverty, the boy and the girl is pitted against each other. We're attracted to each other while simultaneously being pitted against each other. The girl definitely wants to have children, and the boy definitely does not want to actually go broke trying to have a child, whatever. So a lot of times, you want to have sex, but you don't want to be a man yet. You want to grow up like a boy, but you still want to have sex. The girl wants to have sex, and I've been in this situation lots of times. She wants to have sex with me because she's a little girl, but she wants to be pregnant. I'm like, I'm not trying to have babies. So I had that mentality from very early. And I used to always say back in the day when I was younger, I needed a woman to be a girl to think beyond her maternal instinct. Just like a boy has to think beyond his youthful carnal instinct, quite frankly. Because a lot of times we thinking, oh, I want to get it, I want to get it. But if you understand what comes with getting it, then you think differently about it. You have to grow up to realize the consequences that come with that. And again, when a girl gets pregnant, you have no right over what she does with her body. So if she wants to have a baby, you have a baby whether you want it or not. So I was very aware of that very young. That was what kept me off it from the very beginning. So I was not ready to have a child when I didn't want to have a child. I didn't want to have that extended to the older age because I just didn't trust very easily either way. And having you make a decision for me, like having a child, was a very frustrating concept for me to grasp and come up with when I was younger. We're pitted against each other because of poverty. And the poverty circumstance is dictating more the decision for me than the actual carnal lust situation. I needed a girl to think beyond her maternal instinct.
That's different.
Man, Lorenzo, I can't wait till I'm in a space where I'm interviewing brothers. Uh, and my first encounter of like when somebody breaks something down and you don't know what to say, you just hit them with, "Oh, dang, that's deep," or "That's different."
Yeah, that's crazy.
Man. So to that brother, and so again, so to Kool Moe Dee. But yeah, this clip of the interview gained some attention because, as we may or may not know, like it says in the post, Kool Moe Dee is now 62 years old. So he's definitely a brother that's lived a very experienced life, and he's came from the bottom as he's speaking about coming from poverty, and effectively kind of speaking about, I think, getting down to the crux of it. If someone were to kind of give the TLDR of what he's saying, he from a early age understood the dynamic of lust and how sometimes we interact with one another in a way that we don't necessarily think about the outcome of it, and also the fact that he doesn't necessarily like the element of when you do interact with a woman or a person, and in that way, you as a man, you effectively in the United States, you effectively have little to no control over what the outcome. If they want to have a child, the child's coming. If they don't want to have a child, then depending on the state you're in, they can get rid of that. So yeah, and to be honest, what's interesting? Even though he is a older brother, and it's interesting that he's had this view for a while. I think this is actually a more modern view that a lot of younger brothers would have. Just kind of, as the continual culture war of the sexes continues on, a lot of guys are starting to not necessarily like I feel like they are in control of their own, I guess you can say, destiny as it pertains to child production and having responsibility for that child if they don't want to be involved with that. So it's kind of interesting that an older brother would have had this view, but I guess we have to brush into that conversation and kind of breaking this down. But I guess at a base level, what do y'all think of Kool Moe Dee's take on why he, and I guess I don't know if he would impart this on others, but why somebody would deliberately refuse to have children? Do you, to any extent, agree with the logic, or does it sound like effectively like living in fear, like the lack of trust for finding a partner? What do y'all think? I will start with who we starting this morning. Start with you, Wes. What do you think?
It sounds like you might be traumatized. I'm not sure what
Don't
exactly.
don't hit him with the who hurt you.
I mean, because okay, you said when you're young, you don't want to have a kid and you don't want to have a negative financial impact, and you don't want to lose the control. Lose not necessarily control, but I guess not have the degree of control over your life and how it goes. Okay, he's no longer young. I don't think he's poor.
Definitely not poor. He's
So
very established.
at the end of the day, I think he's just carrying the feelings that he had when he was young with him. I mean, and that's a choice. Maybe he still doesn't want to have kids. He's 62. I guess not. But yeah, I mean, I think saying that you don't want to have a kid and have a negative financial outcome from it for the kid, for the mother, or for you, I think that makes sense. I think saying that you don't want to be taken advantage of in your relationship and with concerns and concerning having a kid makes sense. And I think you should be on guard for that as well. But if you find a person to marry and and you both decide that you can have kids, I don't see why you wouldn't. I don't think he said anything about that. I think he just didn't want kids after a certain point of having a mentality that he did for so long. Maybe. I think that's what I got.
Which I think a lot of people get, but I think you kind of specifically mentioned the element of some of it has carried on from his thoughts when he was younger, and obviously in a more in a state of poverty. But I think one thing that is still true is like again when you enter in that interaction, you effectively don't have the highest level of control over it, and
Yeah,
you know,
no,
I think we can all
yeah, yeah,
I think we can all understand the concept of like it's kind of Harry Carey putting yourself in a position that you have responsibility for, but you don't necessarily have control over. Or at least
yeah, yeah. No,
at least in the initial conception.
yeah, no.
That
I get that, and I get what he's saying, but at a certain point, you have to. I mean, at a certain point, if you want a certain thing, like if he did want to have kids, for example, but he was still holding on to this mindset from youth, and he doesn't want to be taken advantage of, and et cetera, et cetera. At a certain point, you have to yield. Like you have to choose the right person as best you
Facts.
can, but you also have to yield your worry and take a risk because if there's no risk, then it's a predetermined situation. It's a controlled situation, and the person probably doesn't love you. The person you're probably not doing things for the right reason. Like if there's no risk, then it's probably not voluntary. So, I mean, unless you're just gonna say we're gonna agree to have a child and not be together, and we're gonna raise a child in some weird non family setting. I said weird. I guess would
Oh,
be like a
are you recommending that he gets a contract?
new I mean, like, yeah, if he's gonna arrange some new thing, like, I guess, people non-traditional type of thing and co-parent, this type of words they throw around. If that's his choice, I guess it's a possibility. But if you want to raise a child with a family the way it's been done for a long, long, long time, um, then you gotta yield. You gotta yield and understand the risk you're taking. And yes, you might be taken advantage of. Yes, you might be hurt. Yes, you might be all these things, but that's life at a certain point. But you gotta make that calculation, that risk judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm rolling. I'm rolling. Um, how about you, Ghost? What do you think of what the brother had to say? Do you maybe agree? Do you think he's kind of just scared? What do you think?
uh, before I give my answer, I'm just curious because you had mentioned something just to get clarification. When you said control or lack of control, I'm I'm just trying to understand what aspect of it you mean. Like the way you said it kind of implied that there wouldn't be any control in a situation when woman has kids.
Well,
So
I
are you
was obviously people can the way they rationalize your level of control is can vary wildly. Like some people would make the case that men in the United States have like zero control over who gets born and who doesn't. Obviously, the truth is more akin to there's you obviously control who like where you chose to interact with and what level of vetting you did for that. But just simply put, like if you right now were to get a woman pregnant, through the choice of how that if that baby's being born is not necessarily within your
okay?
grasp
That's what you mean.
unless you do
All
something illegal.
right. I guess, yeah, in my mind, not to get on this tangent too quick,
I
but
think.
I
Ooh, I was
I
gonna make a dark joke. Sorry.
I kind of want to hear what it would be, but just I just find it interesting that I think you're correct in that like in the US is really at this point, given like how things are progressing in society, there's not a whole lot of choice. Like once again a woman is pregnant, then before it would it was a lot more socially acceptable to pressure her into making the decision that you were interested in, and now it's not. I'll leave it at that. But I don't doesn't that whole discussion of control, like I kind of feel like it should be moot after you get with the woman in the first place. Just the way I look at it, but I think
Uh,
that's the biggest aspect of control. Like you can control whether or not you sleep with her and avoid any issues of pregnancy scares and all that.
Oh, that's
after
his
the
point.
fact anyways.
I think that's partially his point. I think he's still having intercourse with women, but I think part of his point is make sure you're all protected and you're not caught out like caught slipping. Like I think that's his
Man,
point. I don't know if he's saying abstain. Yeah, I don't know if he goes that far. It doesn't. I wouldn't
okay.
guess that, uh, but he's more on the side of don't. Maybe I don't even know if does he have a partner, a wife? I don't know what his situation is, but he's on the side of caution as things are these days, short of abstinence. I think that's what it seemed like.
Okay, because my take is I'm kind of just I was a little confused as to like what he's even saying because I, I think you articulated it a little better, but I'm on your wavelength that it seems like this is kind of born out of maybe not trauma, but being stuck in a very certain particular mindset from when you're younger and then being afraid to break out of that because all the issues that he brought up with his main hangups on pregnancy and all that and childbearing kind of can be controlled and in or I say control, but when he was younger, didn't have the money, blah blah blah, the systemic way that people push for pregnancy versus non-pregnancy, like he can like kind of control what he's the woman he's with, and sounds like he got a lot of money now, and he wouldn't really have to worry about that stuff, but he's just stuck in that mind frame. I'm kind of on with you on that. Like I'm honestly like I'm kind of confused. I don't even really know what he's truly saying, which isn't much of a
We know it's
isn't much
different.
of a bold take, but I don't know. I'm looking at the comments on Instagram, and one comment says will articulate the one right below that. This nigga didn't say shit. So I'm kind of with the second comment. I don't really have anything productive to say in that. I guess if we're just breaking it out of his specific take and just kind of speaking generally, I 100% understand his hangups with having children because that's something that I've been very cognizant of and cautious of like my entire life in that I definitely want to have kids, but I do not want to feel like I'm trapped in having kids, which is a dilemma that a lot of men face. So on that aspect, in that wavelength, I can understand it. But at some point, I feel like if you meet a woman and she's that woman you're gonna be with for the rest of your life, Lord willing, you have to, you kind of have to branch out and take that chance. And if you don't, I don't know. It feels like it is kind of rooted in fear. Like I don't know his situation. I don't know if he's even married now, if he has a partner, or what the deal is. But
There's nothing to suggest he's married.
okay, that's kind of the vibe that I'm on. But the last thing I'll say is that like this whole thing of control and feeling like you're trapped. Like at the end of the day, you do have the ultimate decision, in that am I gonna sleep with this woman or am I not gonna sleep with this woman? Birth control aside, Plan B aside, all this abortion aside, like that at the end of the day is something that every man and woman has control over outside of very
Men don't have control over
uncomfortable
those.
circumstances. But yes,
Men don't have necessarily control over those things. Some of those things you mentioned.
what do you mean?
I mean, to be honest, to be fair, to be uber fair, I think in the upcoming year there will be prescribed and or over the counter birth control for males.
Oh, Plan
But
D.
Plan B is wild. But
No.
you can't.
What I'm
You can't.
saying, Quest.
There's no control that a man has whether a woman takes any of those
Yeah,
steps after they are pregnant or once they.
yeah. I guess I should be
Exactly.
clearer. You cannot. You're right. You can't control anything beyond the initial act. Like you
Yes.
can go for condoms, but oh, condom doesn't work. Blah blah blah. Like I'm saying anything beyond that is up in the air. But the one thing you can control and is the most important thing to control is if you sleep with a woman in the first place. That's what I'm saying, and that is
Right.
every man and woman has 100% control over that part, the very first step, which is the most important. So beyond that, we're kind of, I don't say it's a moot point, but you wouldn't have to worry about it if you didn't take that step in the first place, which might be the point that Kool Moe Dee's making. I kind of don't
Yes.
know. Again,
Some brothers take that to the first extent, and they live like a very monk-esque lifestyle.
yeah, which I don't know.
If he
Maybe
said that, it would
he's,
make more sense.
yeah, but it's kind of up in the air if he's actually abstaining or if he's just very cautious about
Well, I mean, if
the
you heard him when he
interactions
was
he does
talking,
have.
he says like he still acknowledges that men do have a desire for a certain thing. So, what about you, Ace? Do you have any other words for this conversation surrounding? Um, does this sound like a rational take, or is it? Do you think it does stem from some level of fear?
Um, I pretty much echo Ghost and West in that um just from the standpoint of not wanting to get into a situation, particularly before you're ready, not wanting to have kids before you're ready, um, and the whole discussion around not having control. I get it, but yeah, just like they said, or like we seem to be concluding, eventually you should get to the point where, I mean, what if you're courting women, there's got to be one that that it could work out with. Um, he's he's older, so I can't see being as old as he is and not having found a woman where it could have worked with. But yeah, we don't know um how many women he's been with or whatever, so, or if he's abstaining or anything like that, so it's hard to say, but I didn't get that impression from this interview.
Oh, that's part of this interview. Yeah, we truly don't know what goes on in certain people's lives to know how they're engaging with their ideals. This one's definitely, again, a controversial take, but one that I think, for better or for worse, and I think it's predominantly worse, there's a growing sentiment of, a lot of focus on a lot of males don't like that dynamic of like they don't feel like they have a certain level of control. But I think largely what you were saying, Wes, applies to this situation, a lot of situations in life. You have to take that calculated like risk. You have to do your proper vetting, your proper due diligence to understand what makes sense for you in your life, and yeah, once you make those once you do your proper pre work, you typically can find something that suits you. And to be honest, when we talk about risk, this is applicable to like a lot of things in life. Like you're talking about like a literal artist, like that was at the beginning stages of like a genre. Like how much risk was involved, when you're putting yourself out there, and like talking to like labels and things of that nature to make something work. And obviously, people could say, that risk is is more so in your control because you're the main one that's being affected by it, opposed to if you're interacting with like a family based decision. There's multiple people that are involved with that, so there are definitely arguments you can make against it or to combat it. But I think a lot of things, multiple things in life come with risk, and that doesn't necessarily stop us as people from proceeding forward. I definitely hope that everyone finds situations that make sense for them, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like he's miserable, so I don't even. I hope he's content with his decisions, but salute to Kool Moe Dee, regardless. Oh yeah, there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic. Salute to Hollywood Unlocked. Salute to Jason Lee. Transitioning right into speaking about mothers and fathers. So this is a bit removed. I think this is about a month out at this point, but it's just the timing of this was so funny. Around the time of Mother's Day, there was a certain initiative that was put in place. This is based out of I believe Long Island, New York. And the little caption says, "New York sheriff unveils top deadbeat dads ahead of Mother's Day. We will come find you." Jeez, I always talk about I frequently talk about these days about how like child support is like one of like the biggest fears for men. Like it's the boogeyman. It really really has a lot of men, probably unfortunately even young men in a very scared position. It says New York is one of those places where you can always expect the unexpected. And at this time, Long Island authorities didn't hold back. In a bold Mother's Day crackdown, Suffolk County Police made it real clear for fathers ducking child support: pay up or get put on blast. On Thursday, the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office dropped a bombshell by publicly revealing the county's top 10 deadbeat dads: Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Let's play the video and see what really will happen.
In preparation for the Mother's Day weekend that's coming up, we are making an effort to capture the top 10 deadbeat dads here in Suffolk County.
On large poster boards, the Suffolk County Sheriff lists what he calls the top 10 deadbeat dads. One allegedly owes.
Jesus, are y'all seeing these amounts?
Holy shit.
Like, we don't know the full context of these men and these families, but I should look at this beforehand. I'm pretty sure the average child support monthly payment isn't it like $200 to $400? Maybe somebody can find it quicker than I can.
I mean, even if it's that, I'm assuming this is over the course of like 10 plus years. Isn't
It has to be. If it's not, then there's a serious question. Because none of them, I'm sure, make that much money in a year.
No. This
Or
has
in
to
2
be a
years,
total amount over the course of years.
Yeah, I knew it.
Average monthly child support.
Yeah, according to U.S. Census Bureau, the average monthly child support payment across the United States is approximately $430. So, quick math. How many months, years, maybe decades do you have to not be paying your child support for it to get to the hundreds of thousands?
Is it per child?
Yeah, this has to be total because for 20 years, and I think child support stops when you're 18. So let's see, for 18 years,
It
430
stops at 18. To answer your
puts us
question, Ace,
92,000.
if I can find it.
92,000 over the course of 18 years. So if that's for,
and then if it's
2
multiple
kids,
children,
that's 180,000. So for the 400,000, we're talking about 5 kids.
I think it depends on the circumstance. I think there are some cases where it is per child, or most cases it's per child. But yeah, I just wanted to stop and look at these numbers real briefly because these are some astronomical numbers. Like, Jesus, and some of these brothers aren't even in New York. Oh, I guess one brother. Jesus. Okay, keep playing.
Owes $209,000 in back child support. Another $371,000, and the top man $422,000.
We are talking about thousands of dollars that could have went to food, clothing, doctor's appointments, or school supplies.
He's asking for the public's help.
If you recognize one of the individuals on the list, do the right thing. Call us. Let us help these children get the support they deserve.
If caught, the men face jail time as they repay what they owe. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Oh, Jesus, man. Now, I don't want to get into a whole, I guess we're encroaching on. I don't want to get into a whole huge child support discussion. Should people really be put in jail for this type of nonviolent crime, and does it actually put any benefit? But I am interested, I guess before we even get into anything deep, You heard what the officer said. If you identify one of these individuals, say something. Who here snitching if they come across one of these brothers? Come on.
No.
Dang, y'all name
No.
was Paul?
I mean, I say no. However, like, if they gave me like some sob story where like it was a single mother struggling and she can't get the deadbeat dad to pay, and I see that 400,000 number, I can't lie. I might
Uh,
realistically no, but I might be inclined to
no,
slide a little down this tip.
You
it
want you won't
wouldn't
put you won't
even.
put him out in the lineup, but you'll be like, I think that one of the guy y'all
I
were looking
will.
for is
I'm assuming this is like a coworker situation, not
Actually,
like
hanging
yeah,
out
no,
down the
no.
street.
You know, it wouldn't necessarily
Oh,
be
it
the
was somebody
mom's story that would get me. It would be the behavior of the man, because the mom can
it'd have to
the
be a
mom, all the
two-piece
moms need the
situation.
money, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All the
Well,
moms need the money,
all
I'm
the
sure. But the
kids need the
dad,
money.
if the dad won,
Let's
well, yeah.
correction.
Sorry, to be clear, yes, for the kids. To be clear, I'm sure they could all use it and it could all help the children if the mothers are actually giving it to the children. But I'm not even going to put that in question. The dad's behavior. If the dad one is acting flashy and buying crap that they shouldn't have and doing all that stuff, ah, that would make me feel weird. But also, yeah, it would just be the general behavior of the father. But the other thing is, like, you don't know what that relationship was between the mom and the dad. And there've been too many stories where the mom is trying to like block the dude out completely. The dude's trying to get in. The mom is saying all kind of stuff, poisoning the kids against it. That like there's all kind of dynamics where okay, he's not paying and he should be paying. He should be supporting his kid, but like sometimes these situations are super just tense. Like so, I think it would be more of that. Like if the dude is being an idiot and flashy and all that crap. Would I do it? I would consider it. I don't I'd actually do it. But that would make me actually think twice. But other than that, I'm not trying to get involved.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Again, I hope it doesn't go. It doesn't go like super weird. And I'm on record. Even though maybe I have in the past, I do try my best not to contribute to the ongoing culture war of men and women. But I guess point blank period. What do y'all think of this? I feel as if this is kind of like a meme, kind of like some Boondocks type stuff.
Yeah.
But it is like these are real people with real children and have all real child support. Um, I guess do y'all look at this and think it's fair game, or do you think this is taking child support collection a bit too far, kind of making a mockery of the system and the dynamic? Let's spin it back and start with you, Ace. What do you think of all this?
Um, I think I'm fine with it for the most part. I was trying to think if there's any reason I would be particularly against it. And like Wes said, I mean, what Wes was just saying about these situations, they can be nuanced. It's like, yes, I definitely acknowledge that. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, you as a man have to um take responsibility for the action that you that you that you took. Like you got a woman pregnant. There's consequences
Going back to the Kool Moe Dee
that come along with
story.
that. Yeah, it really does. Like and yeah, now the state is involved, whatever entity is involved in collecting child support. I mean, is involved in ensuring child support is collected. Like they're involved, and you you're locked into this situation now. So trying to dodge it or escape it, it's like it's pointless. And I don't like while I can possibly maybe empathize, it's still to me it just comes back to the children are the children are supposed to have the support of their parents, and um this is like the minimal thing that is still being required of you. So I yeah, you gotta
$100,000 is minimal.
yeah. I mean over the course of how many years per child? Yeah.
Jesus.
If you were in their life, it would be the same thing. So
Facts. Take it. Okay, so
If the calculation is right, if the
now that's
calculation is just.
now that's obviously one point we could obviously always get into. Like some people that are against the child support system, if you truly feel as though, like they literally are overtaxing the parent that's pay child support, listen, get involved with politics. Go start talking to your politicians and ask them to change the amounts. Because other than that, it's just the math. And again, if the average thing is $400 a month, obviously I'm not trying to be dismissive and be like that's not a chunk of change out of a lot of people's paychecks. But at the same time, like in the grand scheme of that, imagine if you only had to give a literal child $400 a month.
Yep.
Whatchamacallit? Oh, taking it one step further, what would you do if this is one of your peers, associates? I won't say like full on best friends because I think more highly of y'all, but it was on his list.
yeah. Um, I'm I don't know. I don't feel like um I would actively try to have a conversation about it per se. I'm trying to think about people who are not necessarily my friend, but people I interact with. I don't think I would go out of my way and bring it up, but at the same time, like if you're on a poster and like everybody knows about it, I feel like it would be hard not to bring it up.
Like if I saw someone I knew on a
Yeah.
poster, I'm sending them a picture. I'm like, "This is you?" Question marks. Like,
No, I would,
that's
I
not
would
a
be like,
question.
no, they got you. They got you. You good?
Clearly not.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Fair enough.
There would be a conversation.
What about you, Ghost? What do you think of this display, this attempt to? I also don't like the deadbeat. I kind of like the deadbeat dad.
The name
Nomenclature,
is
but maybe
the name is a little bit
maybe
indulgent.
that's me feeding into my male like discrimination side. Yeah. What do you think of this? Is it like a mockery joint, or do you think it is what it is, Ghost? What do you think?
As far as this specific thing goes, I'm fine with it. I mean, it is kind of like a promotional. I don't want to say promotional thing, but it's kind of for publicity. You could say, "Oh, why do this on Mother's Day? Do it any other day?" Blah blah blah. But overall, I
They
think
should
it
do it on
has.
Father's Day.
Yo, that'd be devious. But I think it has an overall positive effect. I look off topic, but didn't we have like a similar topic where there was like a public display shaming type thing with like
Yeah, it was the
schools or
parents of kids who were dead. I don't remember
Bullies,
what.
maybe.
I don't think it was bullies, but maybe there was the ones that called in bomb threats or stuff like that. I think
yeah,
that was it.
yeah, that
Oh
sounds
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
yeah.
yeah. That just reminded me of this. But overall, I don't have an issue with this because I think at the end of the day, we can get into child support how it might not be the best system. There's a lot of situations where men are getting taken advantage of, or women in the rare case where it's a woman paying child support. There's a lot of fluctuating situations. I'm sure, seen a good amount of Tyler Perry movies to know to know some of the shenanigans that could go on. But stereotypes aside and all that, at the end of the day, I think it is for the benefit of the kids that child support is being paid. And if you're not doing that, no matter your circumstance or situation, and you're not making any efforts to rectify it, then I kind of can't really co-sign you ducking and diving, dodging the payments, unless again I know the full situation. And I say this as someone who has seen all the stories and I'm on the side of the people that absolutely I do fear having to pay child support for whatever reason. And I also say this as someone on the side of my biological father did not pay child support for many, many years, and there was never any legal action taken against him when there could have been. So
Same.
I can see both.
Damn, are we child support babies? Or lack thereof?
Apparently, but yeah, and when I was younger, like I definitely was not like poor or anything or living in the squalor. I will not say that because my parents' mom did everything she could to provide, but like we weren't living it up. I'll say that. So child support it does matter. However, again, I do understand there are some extenuating circumstances sometimes where women are taking advantage of the men trying to do what they can, blah blah blah. But without going case by case basis, I am okay with this and for it, mostly, kind of.
Fair enough. What about you, Wes? Do you have any other thoughts on this showcase? Is it too much, or is it just the right amount of public shaming for folks that are ducking and dodging child support?
No, it's fine. To be clear, I do think that like obviously like, men need to be paying their child support. Because yeah, it's a result. Ultimately, it's a result of the decision of who you chose to be with, who you chose to have children with. And if they charge you or whatever, if they're hitting you for almost all your wages and you're on the street because of it, you still got to pay it. Like to me, you still got to pay it regardless. It's just that the question of am I going vigilante on these people not knowing their situation? No, because there's a lot of nuance and they might be like to pressure somebody after they're going through whatever they're going through with their baby mom or whatever is unnecessary for me to go out of my way and do it. It's like I said, not knowing the situation and not knowing the details, but everybody's got to pay it. Like you got to pay it. It's the law. It is what it is. And also, don't they garnish wages? Like what happened to that? Don't they just start chipping out of your paycheck?
I would
Maybe
imagine
that's not
that
all
this is like
cases.
You are absolutely
people
correct.
working off the books.
Yeah,
and
you're
not
absolutely right. That you garnish
disclosing
wages, but you think
where
a
they're
person
working.
that
Oh,
racked,
yeah, yeah,
racked up
working
this
with
level
those
of
people.
child support debt has a regular 9 to 5?
Yeah, that's true. If you can't get at their paycheck, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's
It's crazy.
that's
You'll hear stories of in order to avoid child support, men will literally not men. And that's the point I want to get to when we're talking about this. People will literally quit their jobs and then like work on the side or do something like that. Basically, have no income on the record coming in. But yeah, my apologies. Was there anything else you had?
No, that was
Yeah, that was what came to my mind while listening to this. I think the biggest problem is, and let me not give this game later. This is called Deadbeat Dads. So this is why like all the men in the comments, if we were to look at it, is probably gonna have uber contention with this because this just seems like it's a quote unquote continual attack on like men that are fathers that maybe want to have some role in their child's life, but they feel as if they're continually being attacked by the system, by the mother, by all these entities. I think if they wanted to make this nice and equitable, they should have had some examples of, because obviously child support is not just, and that's the main problem. When we think of child support, we think of it like this is a male problem, and statistically it is, but that's not true. If for certain, and the one-off cases where if the male had primary custody, and then they went to court and said, okay, so now the mother has to pay child support, that would be a situation that can exist.
good point. Good point.
It's not necessarily likely, but if this county could have found like that one example of a woman that owes child support and then put them up on this and then just call it
this
deadbeat.
is again Mother's
parent.
Day.
And I don't know.
They're not going to do that on Mother's Day.
This is why this is a contentious thing because
Maybe they do the women's one on Father's Day.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, we gotta wait till Father's Day. I don't know when that is. I think it's in June. You gotta wait till that. Yes, when Father's Day come around, they gotta do the deadbeat The only problem is there's not a lot of alliteration. We like alliteration. Misfit moms. They gotta do something like that, and they gotta put a whole bunch of moms on there that ain't taking care of their kids. That's nice and fair. We like that. But obviously on the serious note, yeah, everyone just take care of your kids, and don't procreate somebody that that has a high likelihood of ending up on child support. You'll be on child support one day. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay, give me 1 second before we get. Oh my God, this is one of those sites.
Literally taking up a third of the screen.
Gotta hit it with an inspect element.
Yeah.
Even though ad blocking ain't ad blocking like you used to, do you not use those anymore?
I haven't used ad block in years.
Give me 1 second. Okay, my apologies. Okay, so I guess we can't even say we're gamers anymore since even Ghost is disavowing it. But I always like to bump into a gaming related convo, and every now and then. So, if you haven't heard, basically the biggest game that all the Twitch streamers are playing these days, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And what people might not know about it, because the game is just so good, people just focus on, I guess, to give it some bit of background for those who may not know. Expedition 33 is a RPG game that's turn-based of all things. That's just like immaculate. I think the best way to describe it, I haven't actually watched anyone do like a full playthrough, but I think the best way to describe it, it gives whatchamacallit, Final Fantasy vibes, like Final Fantasy 7 vibes. But obviously, even that, to the fact that that would work in 2025 is pretty crazy. And it has an interesting origin story of all things. I'll read some of the article, but effectively, the story was the devs of this game were former Ubisoft devs that were bored. Oh man, and y'all know how I feel about the gaming industry. So when I saw this, I'm just like, doesn't surprise me at all. So I'll read a bit of this. So this is by what is this again? Dexter. Yes. So Expedition 33 director, that's a name on him. It's some French.
Guillaume Roche.
We'll call him GB. Revealed in an interview with the BBC that he decided to leave Ubisoft and create a Game of the Year contender purely because he was bored of working at Ubisoft and wanted to try something new. It's already a hell of a introduction, and it's so interesting because I really wish the gaming industry would like be better at like marketing what it's actually like. Like everyone when they're a kid, they want to make a video game. Everyone that plays games, they want to make a video game. They want to be a part of the gaming industry, myself included. But then you actually hear testimonies from actual like game developers, and you get stuff like this. So go and say, Expedition 33 is selling over 1 million copies after being made by a core team of around 30 people, which is also impressive. You guys seeing like the graphics and the detail of the game is enough of a story to make a dev cycle stand out from a standard AAA game development. Tales of this game origin make the story even harder to believe. Pardon me. Game director GB and writer Jennifer, is that a V? Svedberg, both spoke with the BBC about the topic, revealing that the process of getting the team together was even more unlikely than people initially realized. Before they secured funding for the project, GB was securing dev talent and making a pitch deck by putting out posts on Reddit, so it's Reddit, and putting a team together through online forums. Like, again, you know, we're just kind of going through it and understanding and learning the story. But are people like, and again, maybe people that aren't in the know, are people like processing what's going on here? We have a game that is legitimately like a lot of people's favorite game so far this year. It's definitely going to be a game of the year contender. It was made by a band of 30 stoners. A guy reached out on Reddit and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about putting together a game. Anyone interested?" On little social media, and they're putting out a game that absolutely obliterates the competition of AAA developers such as Ubisoft. Svedberg had never even voice acted in a game before. Again, new raw talent. She just thought it sounded like a fun idea and decided to submit a voice demo and throw her hat in the ring. I was like, this is a quote from her or them, I don't know. I was like, I've never done it. I've never done that. It sounds kind of cool. So I sent him an audition, she explained. One thing led to another, and she ended up becoming the lead writer of the story that is in large part praised because of how strong the core narrative is. Lauren Testard, the Expedition 33 composer, got recruited by GB thanks to interactions in SoundCloud comments. Are we listening? SoundCloud. The director attributed the unnatural penchant for recruitment to massive luck paired with people being in lockdown at the time and wanting some new creative outlets. So I guess if they do want a bit of bail, is that the team? Oh, look at that, the core dev team. Handsome looking group of people. Yeah, that's the other part to this story. I guess you could add to the puzzles. It was, you could also attribute it to lockdown, which I would say a lot of people talk about how the pandemic was like miserable for them, and in no way do I want to be dismissive of what they went through, but a lot of people came up during the pandemic. It was very like copacetic time. I'll read a little bit more of this. I think we already kind of get the fact that this is some wild stuff that a small dev team made such a great game when it's just a shame. Putting a larger corporation to shame. Regardless, many of the people working on the title either had no experience. All these companies asking for 5-10 years of experience. Look at this. Working in game development at all, or had very little. The team was made up of mostly solely of junior members. We have, I think, an amazing team mostly of junior people, but they are also incredibly invested in the project and talented, said the director. Somehow it worked, which still makes no sense to me after all these years. I don't think it's making sense to us either. When GB found Stanfall and made a site, he started with a simple blog post. Well, we don't have much to share now, other than what we shared on the main page. It's the very beginning, but rest assured this blog will be oh so amazing soon. Stay tuned. Almost 5 years later, it turned out right. While Clair Obscur Expedition 33 would have been a massive feat regardless of how big the development team was, the accomplishments of the team are made even more impressive considering the unlikely origins that became 2025's Game of the Year. So, what more could you want to know? You literally have a person that was in even though we say Ubisoft lull because of their in recent years product that they put out, I think people were satisfied with the last Assassin's Creed game. I have to go back and look. at the reviews. But you literally have somebody that was in a top tier company in his industry, was bored, whatever that means, and went on to do his own thing. And he just basically using social media, got a bunch of stoners, and put it together, and now is making one of the best products in the literal industry. I mean, it's, where do I even go from there? When y'all hear this and like knowing what y'all know about like you know large corporations and maybe in some sense the output of like smaller teams, what do you make of this story? Do you think this will be reflective of like potential change in like an industry like the gaming industry, where like large companies will not be at the forefront of making great games anymore? Um, do you think what do we make of the fact that them being bored at a company led to this? That's kind of open ended, but like I guess what do you think of this story, and does it what does it make you think of like the gaming industry at large when you hear a story like this? I'll start with you, Ace. I want to know what you think.
I think I called this. Not 100%, but I've said before that I think um creation of probably not just limited to games, but like media in general is going to be able to become more diversified and not limited to these massive companies with, thousands of employees or whatever, churning out the same game after game, movie after movie, whatever. I think, and I said this in terms of AI, how I think AI is going to be able to help um, smaller teams be able to um, do as much as these AAA companies have been doing in the past, and put out new, unique games, and open up more competition in markets like this. So if it's even if it's not game of the year, people have much more variety and are able to get into stuff that is like unique. It's not the same thing churned out over and over again. Um, so yeah, I mean, I I'm I'm not surprised per se. Um, I can certainly understand the how fortuitous a lot of these things were, and how everything came together. How he was able to recruit people, or how the recruitment process was. Um, but um, I I do think I mean, it sounds like it came down to pretty much one person's vision for um, creating something new and different, and getting tired of the same old, monotonous thing, and following that vision through. Uh, Seems to be like, the overarching um theme of this. And yeah, I I mean, it's dope that it happened, and I think it's going to continue to happen.
Looking at a story like this, do you think it even makes sense to like look at like the larger game developers and companies to turn out like bangers, or would it make sense for smaller teams to be putting out the things that capture people's attention?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with larger companies is they are beholden to shareholders
Yeah.
who want guaranteed return on investment. And that guarantee right now is coming from, um, not pay to play, but um, like, models like Fortnite and things like this, where it's a subscription,
Microtransactions.
and exactly microtransactions, People are just constantly, paying over time. This is the type of thing that is guaranteed for shareholder in a shareholder's eyes. And I mean, you can certainly have success from a gameplay standpoint as well, but I feel like that almost comes with a lack of creativity kind of baked in, because all you want to do is keep the person attached. I mean, you want to keep the person playing for as long as possible, but you're at the same time, you're like, as long as you can entice them with these gambling, roulette machine type mechanics,
Jesus.
that can be just as successful. So whereas with with smaller devs, the focus can be more so on um creating a good game for gameplay's sake. But it's not like they don't want to make money too. But I think, like, if it gets to the point where, like, okay, it is easier to make games, then it also doesn't have to be that smaller devs, like, primary source of income either. Like, it could get to the point where they are still able to support themselves, but are able to do this type of thing. Um, I don't want to say on the side, but as maybe a secondary source of income or something like that. So so that gameplay first and foremost can be the focus.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense, for better or for worse. Um, what about you, Wes? What do you think of this story? Hearing, literally a guy that disassociated from being at the top tier position to doing his own thing and making a banger. And I guess not to make you look the music guy, but also kind of what do you think of it in terms of, like, because when I look at this, it really comes down to the moral story. A lot of times is like creativity breeds results as far as financial, but it seems like to what Ace was saying, like a lot of companies are averse to that, to kind of stick with the same old, even though that doesn't necessarily work. So what do you think in that as relation to, like, do you think this is a problem that could happen? You think this is something that could happen with, like, musicians as well? Like their label want them to, or maybe not their label, but like some entity wants them to make music in a certain way when they want to do their own thing, but which could easily lead to results as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't speak too much on the game aspect, but as we said, it's more of a creativity question as a whole, and plus, like you said, music and stuff like that. So, but I will say I won't, there's a certain advantage to uh not only like side projects or passion projects that big companies don't have, and that is the approach that the creator comes to when they're doing something that is more like a hobby than a job.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, even I mean, in any industry, like even in working in aerospace or whatever, like when you're in a big company, you got to do stuff that's like red tape and nonsense. Like, I had to do so much jurisdiction and classification foolishness that had nothing to do with engineering. Like,
Yeah.
and when you're in a small company, you don't worry about those things so much. You're just making a product. Like, you're making the thing. You don't have to worry about all types of different types of workflows and whatever and this and that. Like, there's a lot that can be streamlined. You should be structured, but there's a lot that can be streamlined, and that gives you more freedom to be creative. And also, like I said, the approach that you come to these projects with is a completely different, or can be a completely different mindset. It's like, yeah, when you're just interested in the thing for its sake, when you're just interested in music for its sake, and you don't necessarily have the label on you or whatever, or you are just interested in telling a story, writing whatever for its sake, and you don't have a publisher on your back about deadlines or getting this out or whatever, you approach it with, what am I trying to do? What story am I trying to tell? What experience am I trying to get people to have? And there's a lot less associated with it, red tape and things like this. So I think that part of it might have been the big motivation and the big reason that the game is so successful and so creative, and people appreciate all these different aspects of it. Like, I really think that, like, there's obviously a good thing about approaching something, whether it be from a business standpoint or from like an academic standpoint. But when you're a hobbyist and you're just approaching something because you love it and you just want to get deeper into it, there's almost uh yeah, there's a freedom to mix things, mix influences in a way that a person who's traditionally ingrained in something is not necessarily going to do or look for. And at the same time, it can be a disadvantage because there can be a lack of rigor or a lack of motivation because there's no financial incentives. But it's a completely different wave, like the two different things. And I think that's why you get that creativity popping out and doing what it did in this situation. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me. And it it speaks to the thing I'm saying. But my opinion that I'm forming, I'm not sure of yet, but I don't know, I'm pretty sure of it. Like, is it that art in general shouldn't be tied up in business or money, if possible, if at all possible. Like, people shouldn't be making livings off of art
That is a hell of a hot
because
take.
it automatically it adds a certain element of, I'm just trying to make a living. Like, you do things that you don't necessarily like, most people, for their job, because they need it to survive. Like, it's not necessarily that 100% of your job is a passion. And when you introduce money, you get that mix. So, like, in the past, you had art that was funded by independently wealthy people. They were patrons of an individual, and that individual knew that they were going to be able to live off of the patronage of one person or one institution, and then they made whatever they wanted. Like, they were much more liberated. It wasn't they weren't scratching and scraping for every meal, and that model actually makes a lot more sense. Or even, like, now the Patreon model, where your fans are giving a certain amount per month, whatever, but it's not necessarily the same scrape and scratch for every penny that you would be doing. Or even, like, you locked into a deal with a record label. Like, it's not the same. Like, it's not the same quality, even though they are still surviving on their money. On their art. It should shift. If possible, you should try to decouple these things where the person can pursue their thing, if possible, full time, but also it's not every output that is directly linked to dollars, because that just mixes things up. But that's another conversation, kind of. But yeah.
Hey man, that's definitely a hell of a hot take, which I like because I like coming around here and gleaming hot takes from stories that we go over. So we're not sticking on the story per se, but having a deeper conversation. There was a couple things I maybe want to respond, but was there something you want to add or respond with that goes?
I'll save it for when we actually have a full on discussion. But I definitely don't agree with some of the points you were making in regards to your hot take, Wes. But I get it. I get it on some level, but we don't have to get into it. That aspect of this now, because this is kind of a different discussion.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, no, I actually like the way you broke a lot of that down. It that provides some level of relatability, and just like, you're right. Like, a lot of companies, they definitely have like a guidebook that they are trying to adhere to. But when you're just working with some folks that you met, like, you're free flowing. Hey, let's try this. And I was listening to something. I forget what it was recently. I think it was Yeah, I think it was like how like writers and producers of like show how they worked, and I think they were speaking to the fact that like there's like a lot of decisions making in that process, and I wish I just thought of it tangentially when we were talking about this. I didn't have it queued up, but I think one of the things they were kind of going into is like when you're working with a large corporation, um, they're very invested in like you making the right quote unquote decisions. Like you have to okay, we have to make this right decision. We have to make this right decision, opposed to when they were just creating content from their own like as a passion project. Like you obviously you still have a million one decisions to make, but you can operate more on a like oh I'll make this decision, and if it's not necessarily the best decision, we can fix it or we can try something different. I think that's one of the distinctions that working with some of these smaller teams opposed to working with a company that like I was saying they're beholden to shareholders and they have to follow certain guidelines um, are held back by. And last but not least, Ghost, what do you think of this story? What does it make you think about the gaming industry in general? Does it surprise you? Does it shock you at all?
So, on a base level, I mostly agree with everything you guys just said, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little because I think we're being a little too kind and a little too optimistic in regards to this success story and
I think
how
I
it
know what you're about to say.
uh, yeah, I mean, like for this amazing success story where it kind of was cobbled together during the pandemic, blah blah blah. Great story. I agree. It's super great for the industry. How many hundreds of thousands of stories exactly like this completely failed and bombed, and we don't know about it? Like there are plenty of indie games that have seen a lot of success, but there's also a whole boatload of them that don't do well at all, or even if they're not trash games, they just don't gain any traction for whatever reason. And I think that overall, it can be kind of dangerous to extrapolate too much from this one success story because
Mm.
one thing that we're
Dangerous.
dangerous in that this
Don't go
isn't
thinking. Basically, don't go
necessarily
thinking you'll do it too.
yeah, this isn't necessarily the model that's one size fits all and I'm gonna
I'm
quit
sorry.
my
What is
job
the?
at a
Oh,
bigger
okay.
a bigger company and do this because I think I'm gonna have some more success. Because I think one thing that's very important here is the lead guy, the lead developer on this that left Ubisoft because he was bored. Like I get it, it doesn't paint Ubisoft in the best light, but at the same time, like you can't ignore the fact that working at a bigger company with all the resources and all the experience he has was he's able to parlay all that knowledge directly into the creation of this game and there was valuable knowledge that is gained at larger corporations and larger companies that kind of I don't want to say can't be mimicked in a smaller situation, but like if I like the one advantage I think that we would all agree that a larger company would have over indie spot is dependability as far as job security and resources and connections. You kind of know what you have because it's an established company and things are really I don't say set in stone, but there's a whole backlog of stuff that you can go into that you've done before. You worked with these people before. You have connections. You have I'm trying to think of the word. You have a reputation that in an indie company, again, a lot of indie companies you will not have those same advantages. So if you hit a roadblock, you hit a snag, you don't catch this exact perfect set of circumstances, you could end up crashing and burning, and you don't have anything like a larger company to fall back on. You don't have any real investors in the project outside of you and your small team. So even if you have a great vision, it might not end up working out because of stuff like this. So again, like at the end of the day, I'm saying all this, and I do think it is at its core a good thing, and kind of speaks to the fact that yes, these larger companies do need to change their mindset and their workflow and certain ways they approach things, but there is a reason why these things were established in the first place, and even if it's led to kind of a shitty gaming industry, as you often uh, call out, Quest, it's not all bad. There are definitely some good things and some positive things.
There hasn't been any good in a long while.
I guess we don't have to get into the. Well, I'll just say sure, fine. But
the interesting, crazy thing is, it kind of, again, not to fully get into it, kind of lends to Wes's point though about like how having some of these like large backings and some of these things that a large company will have maybe isn't something that should be 100% coupled or tied to a creative process. Like, yeah, we acknowledge that a bigger company is going to have those resources and, you know, all the things that come with it, the experience, the name, the reputation. But it seems like in some cases those things don't even necessarily help you with the if the end game is creating something that's truly memorable, something that people will thoroughly enjoy, something that's just a creative piece of work. And in this day and age, don't even like something that's profitable.
To some extent, like, I just think it's being a little too optimistic, a little too positive for these success stories.
And to that point,
I get you.
Go ahead, Wes.
No, I was gonna say I get you, but I directly oppose your sentiment because I feel like people should be allowed to fail. And yes, go quit your day job. If you're in a country like France or the US, quit your job and try it. Like you'll be fine.
What?
No,
Hold on.
Listen to what I'm saying. 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 You okay? For example, these
Didn't
people
Joey
were already in
once famously say,
All right,
"Don't quit your day job"?
No, at least this guy. If a similar situation, a guy who was in the heart of a big gaming studio, he had the job, he knew what he was doing clearly. He wanted to try something. He should be able to try it and fail. If he fails, what is he gonna do? Go get a job again? Like it's not, especially here. And I'm not. Maybe I'm speaking because I'm here. But no, you'll be fine. Like you will be fine.
Well, bro,
and all these failed experiences. Like what is actually being lost here? We're talking about video games. Like I could see if you say, you know, don't go making cars on your own because people might die or whatever. But ultimately, this is a creative endeavor. Go try it, like, or at least you try it on the side, part time. Maybe quit your job if you do the calculation. Don't just do it willy nilly. But yes, try it. What are we talking about?
To be fair, Wes,
I think
you can't give advice that's like your environment specific.
No,
like-
but everybody in this industry is in a specific environment. I mean,
I'm just saying, like you said, and for those who don't know, Ubisoft is based out of France. But and maybe even in the United States, maybe that's gonna fly. But the hardworking brother in like South America is just gonna be able to. You're
talking about literally giving your life to artistic endeavors. These are all artistic crafts. This is games, this is music, this is movie making, these types of things. You already know what choice you made for your life. Like, I feel like if you're already in that position, like all these things, yes. All right, I'm not saying okay. Do a calculation. Make sure you're good for X amount of months.
You just do a calculation. My whole thing, like in an ideal world, Wes, yes, 100%, I'm on board with your take. But you're
acting like this guy is a day laborer.
No, Wes, I think you're kind of being. You can't just say like, oh, there's no risk in failing, because I get on some level when you talk about risk, like we were given on the example, like you're not manufacturing cars, you're not going to do something that if it fails, it hurts people. But from a personal standpoint, how many people are equipped
Yes.
to quit their job? And this isn't just, oh, you're doing an artistic endeavor, you have this nest egg, you just go back to your job if it doesn't work out. Well, this is like the equivalent of starting a business in that it's going to take a significant investment of capital and time. It's not, I'm
Okay.
kind of being nerd. There's not, it's
Right.
not a blanket case every time. But if you really are
Exactly.
dedicated, you're really committed, I agree that there needs to be some level of risk that you do take in order if you really want to see that true success. But that is not blanket advice that everyone should be getting, because again, how many examples of not of
They should be able to fail.
they
Okay,
well,
listen
they
to what
should
I'm
be
saying.
they
Listen to what I'm
should
saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Not everybody's gonna get to the point where they can quit their job. But if you're already considering this thing, you have an idea for a project, you've considered how much you have in savings, whatever, be responsible, of course. But you should be able to, yeah, take that option. You should see a game like this that succeeds and say, you know, I had this thing that I wanted to do all my life, and I'm gonna at least start it on the side. I would say everybody should do that. If,
but
of course, if it gets to the point where you realize, all right, I need more time, I need more resources, can I do this for my current situation with my family? Of course, all these disclaimers about don't, if you have no money, you can't do it. If you spent all your money, you're in debt, whatever, you don't necessarily have this option. But I'm saying if you're in a already in a creative job like this, especially if you're tied in like this in a company like this, or a similar company, or if you're an individual who already has enough resources to try it out, you should. And you might fail. I'm not saying that you're going to succeed, but it's possible. You should. All the SoundCloud
I'll just
rappers
say this is a
like
lot different than what you were saying a little bit ago.
That was my point. Exactly.
Version of
Exactly.
It first, and then you kind of scale it
Exactly.
back. Not
What I'm
scale it
saying,
back,
like,
but explain it.
for the people, for the type of person who's even considering it, if for that means you're already in a situation. Normally, it means you're already in a situation where it is some type of possibility. And I think that if this thing gives people hope, good. But yeah, I mean, like I said, don't let your family starve. But at the same time, the context of these types of situations, like I said, if you're in a country like the U.S. or France and you're working in an industry, you're making decent money doing this type of thing, you're already in a selective group.
The other part I was thinking about, because I do, I don't want to say largely, but I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, Ghost. And while you guys are talking, one thing I was thinking about was like, this guy, the main guy, GB, he isn't no like average schmo, Joe. Like, he definitely, to be able to create this type of like story, this type of product, you're I don't want to gas him up too much, but he probably is like on bordering on like, he has a very high level of creative genius. So he's he was probably well positioned in life to be able to create this type of thing. But the thing that kind of counters that goes is like, this is like, he was like literally on Reddit asking people like, y'all want to work on this? Like, he was literally at the bottom of the barrel, like looking for fucks. Like, again, no one here or no one anywhere would say anyone can do this and expect these to yield these type of results. But it's literally like, he's literally basically on the street asking people, hey, you want to work on this game, and it coming together. I think that does shed some light on the fact that it's a bit more possible than we would have imagined in previous times.
Yeah, all this I'm saying, I said it before, like, I'm on y'all's side. I think that at the end of the day, this is a good thing to want to mimic. But I think there are just some things to consider. But again, like what you're saying in that, just literally going online and just some random post, hey, I was starting a game, who's interested? Like,
and that's free.
You ask these bigger companies and you something like that would seem like completely unfeasible. We need to have a whole vetting phase, which
Yeah.
I mean you do, but it's a lot easier and a lot simpler than it's made out to be, and it's currently being done. I 100% would agree with that, but I think there are also some real caveats to consider.
That's the crazy part. Going back to what you were saying was like, yeah, if you're working for a company, in order to get like writers and VAs, you have to go through an entire like standard work instruction process, and then you can still get crap. It's just like,
Yep. Yeah.
It probably at the end of the thing, it still probably costs you like 100,000 up front. It's like some crazy figure for just getting them in the door.
oh my god.
You know what this discussion kind of reminds me of is the not the entire thing, but just the whole quit your job maybe thing is remember that the RDC Dream House thing that we talked about like, way back.
Yeah.
Very similar, but yeah,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think moral of the story for me is that yeah, gaming industry has to look at some stuff and really needs to reconsider things, but don't quit your day job just because of this, only because of this.
Unless you do the calculation.
Oh, you would what these calculations, dog?
What do you mean?
Is my kid gonna be able to eat for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, do you have your emergency 6-month savings or
Oh,
whatever? Yeah. Plus,
Most people do not. Most people can barely get by a month, to be clear.
Yes, like especially in how we're living right now. Yeah, it is for a lot of people.
I'm sure Guillaume had emergency 6-month savings. Plus, in
You
France,
say
you get
that,
6 months-
bro. You don't
You get
know.
6 months of unemployment at like
know.
80% of your salary. It's not the same here and there, but I'm telling you, it's worth it.
You know what? One last point I was thinking about. To what I think you mentioned briefly, Ace. There's always this. I don't know how much they elicited in this production. There's always the back and forth conversation with AI, and I am actually. I don't know if I published it. I actually am on the spectrum and the spectrum further to the end of the spectrum of like against AI and a lot of applications. But I think that might be shifting a bit more central in the sense that y'all know me, I watch a good amount of anime. And sometimes I'll just be watching something and like I'm just impressed by like the visuals, like everything in the background that they made. And I'm just thinking like, bro, how much time and investment did it cost to make this? Like, while I think predominantly, I'm never gonna say when it comes to creative things that we should just leave it all to AI. But I think I think I'm getting to this point in my life where I don't think I would be against, hey, AI, make me I want my characters to be on like a spaceship, and I want it to kind of look like this. Like, give me a rough outline of that, roughly, because like it's just like if the quality of some of these things are already so like massive and like this high, and like what they're doing as far as the story with the characters, the details in the characters. If you just want to like a little help making the background forest, hey man.
Yeah.
That
I don't
really
know
is
if y'all
it.
have seen it, but there was some insane videos of like it was some stupid shit like Moses part in the Red Sea. They would do this is like
I didn't see
doing
that
a
one.
fake live stream. There was AI, but like it looks like not real, but it's kind of insane. Like I'll get to that point too, where like I'm not necessarily pro AI, but there's a lot that it can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean like storyboarding and things like this. I wanted to draw something. I had the concept in my head. I was just like, make me a quick sketch, and then I was inspired by the sketch to draw my own thing. Like, is like if you're storyboarding or something like that, you say, all right, this is the general rough idea. You got your whole layout steps ahead, and you still got to do all the work, but it's just quick. Like, get this stuff out of your head and onto paper or whatever. It's crazy.
It just sucks because it's always that sliding slope. And in my ideal world, like I think AI should, and all technological advances should be like used in my mind. Again, this is me as like a calculator. Like like the just make the most, and obviously calculators these days have become wildly more advanced, so even that's kind of wild to calculate, but just give me like the basic arithmetic. Like give me, I don't want, like, we're in a day and age, I don't need to be bogged down by just kind of get a calculation. Just give me that efficient output that I can use to actually do my larger equations that I can use to manufacture my product. That's how I kind of look at it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not literally like a calculator though, because AI is kind of bad at actual math. But
Oh
2
my
plus
gosh.
2 is 5 actually.
We're getting away from the actual thing, but this is one show I listen to. They're talking about, and I've seen this sometimes when I'm, because like AI is also not the greatest when it comes to like trying to figure out like specifically like I'll be asking like where does the law like originate, and like this law, I know this law is applicable in this state, but is it applicable in this state, and stuff like that. And the streamer was talking about like I don't know if y'all ever bumped into this. When the AI gets something wrong, it like will like apologize and then give you the
Yes,
kind of right
this is
information.
why I don't trust it. That's why I don't trust it.
Like that's one of the craziest things that we don't even like really pay attention to. Like give you wrong information, because obviously the thing that we're asking is a very nuanced thing, and it's not like a definitive answer. But just give you the wrong information and be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, based off this,
The craziest thing is that it can give you a right answer, and then you tell it it's wrong, and then it'll apologize and correct
really?
itself.
I don't think
Yes,
I did that.
I've seen that.
Yeah, because it takes too much influence from what you say. Like if you lead it a little bit, it's gonna be, oh yeah, certainly you're you're the smartest person in the world. But it's like, no, don't do that. Like, I've told it to try to iterate, like to question yourself as to whether your answer is correct before telling it to me. I don't think that's a function that's possible, because it was still saying BS. But
anyway, not to get into a whole AI thing, I just find that like
slight
kind of funny, crazy.
Slight other tangent that's semi-related. Y'all ever feel like when you're watching something, or because you kind of mentioned watching something and you see like how much details put into it, like have you ever thought like how much you consume that is like people's life life work, or even like the culmination of how much work people put into stuff, and we just consume so much of it casually, and we don't like, I mean, for me, I'll usually feel like we don't have that much output ourselves that we can be like proud of. Maybe that's just
I don't know about that last part.
When you make content,
the last part,
I'm very settled with
art.
my output in life, but I definitely
think you make art that comes into play. But
I've started to like stop and appreciate things more, because that like literal, like you watching like a show, and like they got perfect impact frames and perfect, like everything is like well crafted, and it's like we just consumed like 2 minutes of pure raw hard work and talent that took somebody like maybe upwards of like days or weeks to put together. So I definitely stopped and started to take more appreciation in that. But that last part, I'm content with my output in life, to be clear. Anyway, got off a few tangents, but at the end of the day, salute to the Expedition 33 devs. I am always enthralled when a dope product comes out that captures the gaming industry's eye, and I don't want to say anything too crazy, because obviously this has been in works since the pre-pandemic, or the beginning of it. But I think when we're talking about the type of game we would make, it's not one-to-one. And actually, there's a lot of things. Again, I haven't seen a full playthrough, but from what I've seen, there's a lot of things actually that don't necessarily. Like me personally, I don't know if I would love the game wholesale. I do think it's a great game, and it's a game of the year contender. But I'm gonna say it resembles some of the things I was mentioning when I was talking about the type of game I would make, and I'll just leave it at that. We're talking about that. Anyway, if there's nothing else, we can move on. I dropped one more link in the podcast channel. Pull that up, Ace. Oh, even going through 3 topics, that's roughly 2 hours. Jesus. Speaking of AI, I'm so good with transitions. I didn't even think about it. Anyway, so it's the Black Media page. They posted colleges are now using AI readers to pronounce graduates' names during graduation ceremonies. Yes, it is graduation season again. Salute to all the graduates. There's actually quite a few graduations in my family recently. So obviously, salute to all of them. It's always beautiful when hard work pays off, and I know for a lot of people, making it across that stage is such a accomplishment in life, or all the culminations of your hard work, sleepless nights, the pains, the tests, all that. Once you're walking on that stage, you finally feel like it all paid off. Well, probably when you actually get a job that's really paid off. It's when you feel like it paid off. But anyway, that stage is definitely a big part for a lot of people. Now, I don't know if I would like to know, like, I would like a historian's opinion on how names have changed over the years, or throughout time rather. I don't know if names have gotten more complex, but I've definitely we're not necessarily in the era where people's names is Jane, Johnson, Michael, Jordan, Crystal. Like, people be having a very unique names, and I think this is probably even more so a prominent thing in the United States, because the United States is continually developing into a nation, not just in the United States, but first world places. You developing into a place where it's a very what's the opposite of homogenous?
Diverse.
I guess that's the It's very diverse. So you don't just have. Why do I like that word? Anyway, there's a lot of backgrounds on a lot of people, a lot of cultures, and a lot of people have very unique names. I don't know if people are doing these things intentionally. I feel the names I have loaded up for my future kids. They're not the most type of unique. I don't think you would need a Google to pronunciate it. But anyway, the moral of the story is, it seems like in order to make sure everyone's names is getting read properly, they're moving to an AI model to read the names. Let's hear what it sounds like. Might need to boost the volume so you hear it, but we'll see.
Via Cicero, Emily Acosta, Sabrina Ali, Jeremy Brosnan,
Hayden Tops.
I just said that one.
Caitlin Egan, Sierra Janes,
Haley Vitale.
Oh my God.
Shania Blackwell, Gabrielle Starr Acevedo, Annabella Cole,
Sean Robbins. Timothy Morrow.
It's crazy. I just got off saying, like, in the games becoming unique. I feel as if they got specifically the most like common, like easiest names. I thought they were about to come up and say like DeQuandre Veneer. Like where was was any of those bigger than 3 syllables? What's going on here? Anyway, I guess hard names to pronounce is relative. Anyway. This is relatively light. We usually start off with light topics, but I suppose we're ending with them. What do y'all make of this? Do y'all think it's getting a bit too lazy and getting away from practicality, or do you think it makes sense to ensure that everybody just has their full proper name articulated in a nice, concise manner? Do you think this is an unnecessary use of AI, or do you think it's actually you would have liked your name to be read in AI? I'll start with you, Ghost. What do you think?
I mean, I really don't have a problem with it. It does just feel weird, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, just listening to the AI pronounce the names, it's like, I don't know. It just for me, it just doesn't kind of sound right. But on a base level, I think it's fine. I don't have any huge opposition to it. It's just one of those things where it's like, this really what we're doing now, but it doesn't have any huge impact on my life, so I'm all right with it. Although I am curious, so the students have to they have to give the AI or some type of prompter or
The barcode,
code or whatever. That's kind of
Like a QR code.
That's probably annoying, but otherwise, yeah, I'm fine with it.
Fair enough. What do you think, Wes? Do you think it's getting a bit too what do people say? Black Mirror-ish? Is that the code word for something that's like futuristic but kind of weird? Or do you think this is standard? This is a good use of AI technology?
I thought it actually, when I read it, it would be weird, but it was kind of smooth, honestly. So I think I'm good with it. I was gonna say, why didn't they just pre-record the names? But technically, your sequence could be off, so when they scan it, they know they're not the right person normally, unless the kid's pranking. So yeah, actually, it's not that crazy. There was something else I was gonna. Oh yeah, but this is not AI technically. This is just text to speech. Everybody calls everything AI now.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, to be fair, it's just TTS. You're absolutely right. Although maybe I guess you can make the case that it's a junior version of AI technically. I forget who just said it, but like maybe not on this grand stage, but I'll be honest. You would go down in your school's history if you did prank. Go up there and go up there and that AI and that TTS says, a man to hug and kiss, or a lot of butts. That would have been funny.
That's the best age you got. Damn.
Listen, I'm not the guy that made Expedition 33. I never said I'm a creative. Those are just some of the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna be some kids though that are that'll say something wild.
And what about you, Ace? What do you think of this use of technology? Do you think it's unnecessary? Do you think it's just right? How would you feel if you had to go up there with your phone and have it out when you're walking across the stage?
I mean, the whole graduation process is kind of unnecessary, but the one thing that I feel like, again, none of it is necessary, but the one thing I feel like is, like kind of valuable, or the value you get out of it is like hearing your name being said by the people that run your educational institution, as like they're calling out your name as somebody that's graduated. So putting it or giving that over to AI, I mean, to me, it feels like you are removing like maybe the one of the necessary human elements. I guess you get the speeches still from people, but
I'm sure these kids got a lot from AI during their degree process. AI is one of their
just one of their educators now. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You could also just pass the mic to the students at this point, though.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Why don't we just be able to say our names ourselves? But I guess to what you were saying, I think I necessarily can't relate to it, but I guess there is some sentimental value of like the leaders or the former. I don't know who they choose to. I guess the leaders of the institutions they have some level of decoration to their position, and that's why it's special when they say their name.
Just don't replace the handshake.
Now the only question
no
is
Android.
Jesus Christ. Hey man, some people are a little carry when it comes to getting touched. And the only question is, what do you think would be worse? Is your name getting pronounced incorrect by a human, or your name getting correctly pronounced by a machine.
Like a human, actually. I mean, it's it adds to the experience. Like, at the end
I
of the
don't
day,
know,
this
man.
graduation is pretty boring. It's like
You're special
these
day. I
frickers
think he wants
you're
your names.
thinking back at it nostalgically. You're like, these frickers pronounced my name wrong, even when I was walking across the stage. Like that's
Dog,
still
what?
that's still more of a memory than
I don't have any
I had my
nostalgia for
graduation.
people. Y'all know how
Actually-
many times people mispronounced my name, thought it was a woman's name. I don't got any nostalgia for that. Fuck you, me.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah,
though,
people pronounce our name wrong too. So
Y'all got the last name.
I like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like both
My
my
first
names. I assume my names. I claim my names, but it doesn't really bother me when people mess it up. In general, even multiple times, it would have to be like really egregious and really like intentionally
You know what's crazy?
butchering
He's
my
not
name.
capping.
No, you know they
We
pronounce
doesn't
my
bother me.
name like
We've had a drive, very anecdotal. We had a driver instructor that from the time we worked with him or was learning from him, he would consistently say his name wrong, and you didn't. I don't think you probably corrected him once, and then it was like, all right, he's gonna say how he deems fit to say it. He's not capping.
I'm assuming you're talking about the last name because there's
No,
no
both
way.
No,
names.
it was his
Crazy
first
stuff.
name. It was his first
How-
name. There was-
Stuff, bro. You wouldn't.
Y'all got to tell me
Like,
offline how bad it is. 'Cause-
No,
But I was-
it doesn't make any sense. It's not that complicated, but
Oh man, that was fun.
all I know is that the literal hospital thought that I was a female, and my name. I got my name pronounced with it. Somehow they put an L in it with this weird inflection, and my teacher that I've known for friggin' years. I'll say the name of what she said, but is she here today? And just completely butchered it. And I don't have any fond memories of that. Y'all, I know y'all names. There's no way it was anything crazy. It's maybe a syllable here or there.
You already know me. I don't like my last name partially because of the fact that it just eluded people to say it correctly. So
I'm curious how people be pronouncing it. But
I'm rocking with you, Ghost. But you know, I guess I've seen firsthand people can not have that big of a contention with it. So I guess Ace could be not capping either. Maybe that would be not a bad thing to experience. Regardless, yeah, again, salute to all the graduates. These kids seem like they're fully content with it, so I guess it could catch on and be a more normal thing. Again, like all things in life, some people could probably be content with this and think it's a bit disingenuous or they're not really trying. Because at the end of the day, people do make the case and argument that it's really, unless your name is like specifically like uber foreign national and got some freaking, it's made of all consonants and no vowels. Most names are like, if you give it a second, you can pronounce it right. And I think there's some level of respect to pronouncing a name correctly.
yeah, and to be fair, like there are there's multiple factors at play too, because generally if a person grows up in a white area or whatever, they're going to be more familiar with names that might be even if they're European, Eastern European, or they have some weird spellings, they might be more familiar with it. They might be more prone to pronounce them correctly. But then if they see a name that's a black person or even an African or whatever, they might have a hard time because it's a lot of letters and it's intimidating. And of course, we can say, well, they should be able to figure them both out because they're all complicated and not, but it's a familiarity thing. But on top of that, you have people who pronounce their name as it would be pronounced in the country of origin. And then you have people who don't pronounce it as it would be pronounced in the country of origin. And then there's like sounds and syllables that don't necessarily exist in your language and they exist in another language. So on a certain level, I do understand like making the playing field a little bit more level. It sounds like some of the Hispanic names were pronounced with kind of a Hispanic accent here, but sometimes even the people don't want it that way. So I guess maybe the students have to individualize it a bit, but it's always kind of a thing that people talk about.
Yeah. Bottom line, salutes to all the graduates, and hope everyone's name was said either correctly or in a way that they will look back and think finally of. If nothing else, we can move on. That's the last. So let me go back here. It's gonna still be right. Oops. Nope, it is not. Oof. Close it out for a second, Ace. Yeah, I don't want to go back and fix it. Anyway, good stuff. We always like to do when we're closing out. What, if anything, are we looking forward to coming up in the near or distant future? You know what they say about something to look forward to. I, for one, am so stoked. Y'all know me. I am a King of the Hill supporter, and they finally put out the trailer and intro for the reboot. And whenever a show that you used to rock with comes back, the first thing a person like me, I guess this one of my few truly pessimistic sides and angles, I think it's gonna be trash. It just is a lot of things you can't recapture it. It just what it is, because a lot of things are for that particular context and period, and even though we all want more of things that we enjoy, it just don't hit the same. Based off what they put out so far, it's looking like it's gonna be it. So August 4th, King of the Hill is coming back, and I am all for it. I definitely implore everybody to go check out the little trailer, because if you know anything about King of the Hill, they're definitely keeping that same vibe and sentiment. So I'm hyped. But that's not till August, so
Nice. Mine, planning to go to an anime convention next week.
What?
In Rhode Island.
How are you girls that pass all this? This is craziness. I'm literally on record. If I ever do that, I want to go with y'all.
Yeah, I'll send out the invite, I guess. But it's on Saturday though. But I'm going with Andre.
They don't have a Sunday. Usually those things extend like the whole weekend.
They do have one on Sunday as well, but I have plans on Sunday too. I mean, one of them is your sister's graduation, but
That's
also
is next week. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Damn, how do you not know your?
Yeah, if it's not on my calendar, I don't be paying attention really.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. Is there anything in particular? I mean, they obviously have a bunch of voice actors that you can meet. I'm hoping to find some cool merch, maybe some patches that I can add to my coat or keychains. Be good.
That's dope. Well, one day we'll hit it up. Hopefully that one is a good experience, because I always want y'all that only have positive experiences. But when we all go, that's when it'll be the lit one. We'll meet like the VA of Naruto, Luffy, and Ichigo. Sorry, go ahead.
Nice. Me, we have a wedding to attend of some close friends, and decidedly, I am looking forward to it. So, should be cool.
Nice.
Make sure you take pictures.
You gonna play?
It's not in the plans.
That constitutes a gift if you do that.
I guess technically,
If you do it
because-
well.
yeah.
No bomb.
If it wasn't free, they'd have to pay. If it was me, I wouldn't have to pay. So I guess it would be a gift.
I don't know. Anything else?
For me, couple concerts looking forward to. Apparently Smino next week, which I didn't even know about, but hype for that.
Yeah, we'll talk about
I might actually end up going to the Hartford one, because I kind of prefer concerts like during the weekdays, during the weekends for some weird reason. But yeah, that should be fun. Godspeed concert that was originally for early this year, and I wouldn't have been able to make it, but it got rescheduled to end of this month, so I'm incredibly hyped for that. That should be dope. And there was something else, but I forgot. So I guess I wasn't looking forward to it that much, but
Fair enough. Well, in time of recording, we are still early June, but summer is on the horizon, so there's always a certain level of hype around summer, even when you're an adult, because stuff just pops off during the summer. But nice. It's always dope to have something to look forward to. Regardless, although dang, so next week probably not doing a podcast since we're going to be busy. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
even though it's unfortunate that we haven't been able to do podcast as much, it's still every time we come on here, it's like we never left. It's definitely enjoyable. So for that, I thank y'all for coming here doing this podcasting, and we greatly appreciate any and all listeners, supporters, likers, commenters, so on and so forth. Yeah, we hope that by watching us, that you might have gained a perspective, or you might have learned something new. Like if you are a up-and-coming graduate, you might want to prepare for a literal Android 18 to read off your name. Or we just hope that you found this entertaining. And if none of that happened for you, then all we can say to you is be warned and be filled.